We're very keen to get started into today's amazing session. Our topic for today is streamline your company for the new normal using best practice cloud tech. I'm your panel host. My name is Dana Pretorius. I'm one of the co-founders and directors of Outsourced CFO. And you are joined with my fellow panel here with me. We've got Jan Parmentier. He's the co-director, co-founder and director of J&J Awards. We have Wilhelm Walzer, who's one of our directors at Outsourced CFO. He heads up our App Integrate division. And then we also have Jacques Lagrange, who is a co-founder of Outsourced CFO as well as a director. So really looking forward to today's discussion, and gentlemen, thank you for your time. I'm really looking forward to a very fruitful discussion, very relevant. I'm gonna kick off the discussions and I'm gonna ask Jan and give you the floor. Jan, would you be so kind to introduce yourself and what your business does?
Perfect. Hello, everybody. Hope you had a good long weekend. So I'm the co-founder of J&J Awards. We are a retail distribution business. That kind of means that we supply the big retailers like the Massmarts and the Clicks Groups and the Foshinis here in South Africa. We have kind of two verticals. So we either make brands for the retailers. That means we've got in-house brands to be developed. So a retailer would tell us, we like product A, B, and C. Can you please put that into one of your house brands? Or we distribute exclusively American and European brands. So obviously we import all these products, get them into our warehouse, and then send it out to the big retailers here in South Africa. And obviously we focus on e-commerce too. So we've got quite a few e-commerce platforms where we sell our products on directly. That's kind of like the third vertical of our business of J&J Awards.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that introduction, Jan. Let's open the floor, perhaps one sentence from each from the panelists. If you were to say in one sentence, how has cloud technology changed how business is done nowadays? What would you say? Wilhelm, I'm going to start off with you.
Oh, everything's different. It just opens up borders. You can now sell your product anywhere in the world at any given point in time, and also distribute it there and get it physically there. So it's really opened the world and opened up borders.
Jacques, your one sentence?
Yeah, maybe to add to that, it opens up. So even in the workplace and your team can work from anywhere, it just opens up the people and where they can be based working with you on the team.
Jan, from your side?
For us, it's obviously challenging in the way that we have a physical warehouse. If we don't come, or the warehouse don't come to work, we struggle. But I think the rest of the core team really managed to work remotely and still operate via cloud-based technology to at least run the business as we should be.
Perfect, gentlemen. Thank you for that one sentence introduction. Jacques, I'm going to start off with the next question for you. So Outsourced CFO's slogan is to rethink, automate, and scale. What does that mean for a scaling client at Outsourced CFO?
Oh, thanks, Dana. So I think when looking at scaling, it's where do we want to go with this? And sometimes people can jump into what they think is a solution and start working on it. And I think rethink, automate, scale says stop. Let's rethink. Let's reassess what are the real problem areas. What are the opportunities at hand? Let's rethink how things can be and not only look at the status quo of how everyone else is doing that. And then automating that is taking seeing how there's things that can be automated or using different, more efficient resources to get it done. And then once we have that in place, scaling from there is much easier. So I think to summarize, it speaks to understanding the problem, automating some of the parts, simplifying it to such an extent that it can be automated, and from there it can be scaled and duplicated multiple times at a faster pace.
True, so true, Jacques. There's an important business saying that what got you here won't get you there. And I truly believe automations and cloud technology and streamlining your business, and to really rethink that, especially during this time, is so valid. So Wilhelm, I just want to really stand still with you and just quickly hear from you. Why do you think it's so important to rethink the software that you are using as a business during the lockdown, especially during this current economic climate that we're in?
Yeah, I think Jan touched on it just now. Mobility, the ability to work from anywhere. Having your team, you're joining myself in my lounge today. I'm not in office, and I'm able to work from home the same way that I would have done from the office, maybe minus the coffee machine. But being mobile is the one thing, and the other part is specifically towards the economic outlay. I was chatting to a client last week who was just coming to me saying, any advice? Our servers, our physical servers here in the office, they are old, they are dying, they need replacement. And the cheapest quote that we have on the cards at the moment is 250,000 Rand for an adequate server to run our infrastructure.
Sure.
And I was just shook my head and told the person, look, there's all these software, there's Xero, there's inventory management, you don't even need a physical telephone infrastructure anymore. It can all be cloud-based. And they keep on coming back to the question, but how much is the server for this? How much do I need to pay for hosting for this? And the answer is no, you don't. So with cloud tech, your capital outlay during this periods of time is so much less. Yes, you might pay a higher monthly fee, but it fails to compare when it comes to your server costs and also your implementation times. You need to be agile in this period of time, and cloud tech is something that can be deployed so much faster if done correctly, so much faster than what some traditional softwares needs to be gets implemented in a time frame.
Sure, it's so amazing what amazing cloud technologies is available out there that just revolutionized each industry. Wilhelm, I know you also head up our app integrations department where you help multiple clients with their conversion from one technology solution to a different one. What are the typical fears that you experience from a consulting point of view that business founders experience when you think about a new technology system? What are some of these fears, and how can a typical founder mitigate those risks and fears before implementing a new system?
I think the longer the founder has been in business, the more risks and fears they have. The reason for this is they've got more experience. So they've probably been through one or two or maybe even three failed technology implementations in their lifetime of doing business. So they're very cautious when it comes to changing their tech. It's working right now. Yes, there are some inefficiencies. Yes, we need to continuously look at improvement, but is it just going to be a fly by night and it's just going to be that beautiful, it looks beautiful, but it does nothing effect? So that's really one of the fears for our clients. And that really comes back down to how the implementation process is managed. And do you go big bang or do you take a phased approach, bringing small changes into the business? Our recommendation to clients are always this phased approach, because if you make too much change, either you've got low adoption internally or people get overwhelmed and go back to the old system. So just spend some money on the new one and now everyone's back on the old one and you're now paying for both, which doesn't make business sense. So that's really the fears at the moment. The other thing that we're seeing at the moment is that many businesses are faced with questions they've never had to ask before because of lockdown and COVID. So there's a lot of unknown out there. So a lot of people coming to us with, we have a lot of questions, but we don't know what the questions are. So we need to help many clients with both the question and the answer that they should be asking during this time.
What I've experienced from a fear point of view from a client is we're actually spoiled for choice for so many software that's out there. So, it's so difficult to make informed decision on what software to implement. So it almost makes people indecisive. That's the one element, and you also touched base on it, Wilhelm, is that adoption of the new technology and software. People might be hesitant to use the new technology and revert back to the old system out of fear and just use what they used to. So very relevant. Thank you for sharing that, Wilhelm. Jacques, I'm going to move over to you. So Jacques runs our operational division at Outsourced. He's also a chartered accountant and also works a lot with clients in a CFO capacity. But Jacques and Wilhelm has really assisted our Outsourced team to implement some amazing internal software that we use to really streamline our business. Jacques, perhaps over to you. If you were to say, what are some of these cloud technologies, if you were to share with the audience, that Outsourced uses internally for our own operations, and how has Outsourced benefited from this during this lockdown and working remotely?
Thanks, Donna. Yeah, I think maybe to start with, I think we were, starting with your second question, we were lucky in that we were already on the cloud when lockdown hit. So it was a natural movement for us just to go into lockdown. But I think just starting with some of the basics that's out there is obviously we're on the G Suite platform with Google. So that means all our documents, sheets, emails is obviously on the cloud, and it helps for that collaboration in that. From our financial side perspective, we obviously love Xero. So we're on Xero with that. Then on the different parts of the financial side, we have with our data follow-ups, there's a program called Chaser that we use that integrates with Xero. We use from a practice management side, we use a program called Xero Practice Manager that's cloud-based, soon to be replaced with Zoho. We use for reporting purposes, we use Spotlight and Float. And then we also have the data analytic type program called Xavier that just helps decipher a lot of data, especially when looking at client things. And that's all cloud-based. Like Wilhelm said earlier, we don't have servers that we need to look at or ensure that they're running. So that makes things a lot easier. And just having different users being able to access the data at the same time, not having different versions has really changed the game for us in that sense.
Sure. Yeah. So I head up HR at Outsourced, and I can just add to some amazing software that we use internally. And I'm sure, Jan, you would also be able to add some amazing software that you guys use as well. But from an HR point of view, we use SimplePay for running the HR processes, in the sense of people can log in remotely, apply for leave, requests their pay slips online, and then from a culture point of view, we make use of a very cool software called High Five, where fellow staff members and peers can give each other like recognition and high five online. So it's so important when going digital that you also have a digital culture, and that your culture is strong as well. So there's some really amazing softwares out there. Jan, over to you. I know that you guys are also using Xero in your business. If you were to share a little bit from your side as a business founder, what's your experience with Xero? Has it made your life and your fellow partners' lives easier? Yeah, the floor over to you.
Amazing. Yeah, we started using Xero already so we've been around for 5 years now. We started using Xero, I think, from year 2. We were first on like an online free app, like just the very start of the business. And then we soon realized we actually needed a bit more of a sophisticated accounting system. And then we ran Xero for a solid two and a half years, I think, up until we actually started realizing maybe we need some extra plugins into Xero just to get to more of a sophisticated forecasting or inventory model, etc. Now, I kind of related well to your comment when you say like there are so many programs out there. It's actually very hard to choose. And when I looked at a full ERP system for a business, I looked at all the possible options that are out there. But now what stood out to me is that there's a lot of particular softwares that are written ERP softwares, particularly for distribution business. But there's always something that lacks, or you're like, I'm 80% happy with it, but actually I would really like to have that extra functionality. And I think you guys really helped as well with it in basically being the architect of, let's use Xero as a base, and then let's start adding plugins here, left and here, the CRM plugs in there, and then your inventory links in there. And then if you want to link it to your website, it plugs into Xero like this. And then kind of like just create a whole roadmap of how do we get to that whole ecosystem as you would have bought in one software, but now you can customize it exactly to the way you like it. So then we started using Unleashed as an inventory management, or Sana links with it, you know, like everything is plugged in into each other, and we're really customizing it exactly to the needs that we have as a business. And that for me has been the biggest advantage so far that we've experienced from it.
Sure, and I can only imagine, you know, with all this amazing software, it can really give you the competitive edge that you need to really streamline your business and scale optimally.
Exactly. It makes a huge difference. And also, I think, even from a cost-saving perspective, if you would have gone with one of the massive ERP systems that's out there, I actually do think, because you don't need all these specific modules that they have assigned for it. So now I can actually just customize and say, I only need this one and this one. I'm going to use these plugins, plugging into the Xero or the ERP system that we're creating, and it helps us greatly. So it's actually a cost saver too.
There you have it, guys. So to our audience, do check out some of these amazing cloud technologies out there. You can really integrate with each other, and you can really be competitive compared to employing or deploying a very expensive system. And you can really have a lot of the functionalities. Wilhelm, we're moving over to an area where you're also very passionate about, and you also have a lot of strengths in. So Wilhelm, let's say you're a typical founder, a business owner, and you are considering to implement some cloud technology for your business. Where do you start as a business owner? What do you do? What's the next steps that you need to take when rethinking the software that you're using in your business?
I think to get as much as advice as possible. Speak to your peers in the industry, speak to people that know what is happening in cloud technology, because we've touched on it a couple of times. There's so many apps out there, and some of them are really good, some of them are okay, and some of them aren't that good. So really speak to people out there, and then start off with the critical need. We typically start off with the financial system. We look, because if your business is financially sound, then you can sort out any operational issues around that. But first, we need to make a profit. We need to survive, and that comes down to the finances. So I would look at something like Xero, and the reason why we look at Xero is because it has an open API. So that allows us to integrate with other technologies out there. And then we build the picture from there. We'll start with Xero at the core, and then we'll start coloring in the picture. We do this all right at the beginning, and then we start implementing phase for phase for phase. So as a business owner, look at your financial function. Is it sound? If it's not, make the change. It will unlock so much more potential for you. But then when you're looking at other technologies, ask, does it have an open API, and can it already integrate with Xero, for example, or with the other technologies that you're looking for? Because you don't want to get to the place whereby you've implemented so many new tech, and now you've got this critical function, but it can't integrate. And it's just devastating. And then you need to go and look for another software that can't do it so well. And then you're compromising with it, and you're feeling, I wish I had that other software. So really look for those guys with the open APIs, and that will set you on the road for success.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Wilhelm. Jock, over to you. You previously elaborated on some of the internal operational software that we use at Outsourced internally, but we also service our clients using some amazing cloud technologies. Would you be keen to perhaps elaborate on some of these technologies that we use to service our clients?
Yeah, definitely. And maybe to start with, like Wilhelm said, starting with the finance function helps. And if you go on Xero's website, you can go to the what they call the Xero marketplace, where it lists all the apps, like a few hundred, 700 plus when I last looked, that integrates with it. So whatever your need is, there's probably an app that speaks directly to it. So just from that point of view, but just some basics, and I think we've mentioned it, but Xero for your financial side, for payroll, there's Simple Pay as one of them. We spoke about Unleashed as a inventory management system. And then for cash flow, you have apps like Float and Spotlight that really helps with the reporting and the cash flow forecasting part. And then Receipt Bank just in terms of expense processing. So there's really a lot, but I think those are some of the ones that I would say speaks to the basic core needs of the standard business.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Jock. Perhaps last thoughts before we go over to the Q&A. Might just want to encourage our listeners to also ask questions, and we'll cover that under the Q&A opportunity soon to follow. For the panel, perhaps some final tips, perhaps some favorite cloud technology software that you would recommend for any business. Jan, if I can possibly start from you, some tips and knowledge from your side.
I think one learning that I definitely had is, and that was definitely through your advice, is to have the phased approach. Changing your systems is always drastic in your current day-to-day operations, and the phased approach definitely has helped us. And the second thing is to actually allow enough time to go through the implementation phase. Our busy season is always in obviously the festive season. So we started our preparation in August, and it was definitely enough time, but I would always advise to actually look at your busy times and at least prepare a few months upfront before you start implementing the new software. But for us, Unleashed has been a game changer, just from an inventory management point of view. But now we're starting the phase 3, where we bring that to the B2B e-commerce platform. So that's the advanced version of Unleashed. So that's the next step that we're rolling into with our business right now.
True. And I think there's an amazing app that does Unleashed inventory forecasting as well. I would love to introduce that to you as well. But Adam, some tips from your side, perhaps some tips from your side.
Yes, really think about what your core software is that you're going to be operating on. If you're looking at financial function, we've said Xero works well as a core software. We look operationally and thinking of, are you on, let's call 2 camps, the Microsoft camp or the Google camp? Which one are you in? And depending on which one you're in, really look at all the features that each of those technologies offer, and because they've got great competitive products, but they do a lot of the same things just in a different way. So really go into the admin panels, go lift up every settings page, look what the software can do for you, and then start applying your mind. Another software that we love is a software called Zapier, which allows us to build integrations between 2 softwares that weren't intended to integrate with each other. It's an open connector software that allows us to connect to things. Those are some of our favorites. Another one that's on the horizon is a larger software called Zoho. They've taken the traditional CRM ERP approach and really built it for cloud. So that's something that's really on the horizon and something that we're really enjoying at the moment. And we're currently busy implementing it internally, but we've also shared that love with some of our clients who've seen the value and already started adopting that as well. So yeah, those are just some of the hot topics at the moment.
Jock, perhaps some wisdom from your side.
Yeah, I think just to add, and it builds on what Jan also mentioned, I think we've mentioned a lot of apps, but I think a big thing is just that phased approach and user adoption. Sometimes you get entrepreneurs that super excited about the new software, and over a weekend they implemented themselves, but in such a way that either the users, their own staff, or whoever it might be, is not fully equipped to run with it, meaning you can't really utilize all the amazing aspects of it, or it hasn't been implemented well. So it's so important to almost, I think generally one wants to be ahead of the curve, but also to rein back that excitement and make sure it's done properly to fully gain the advantages of the software.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your tips. I'm going to give the audience some time to ask some questions. I've got one question here about Xavier Wilhelm. How do you spell Xavier? And if you can a little bit elaborate a little bit on Xavier and some of its features.
Yeah, Xavier is Xavier. So that you'll there in the chat feature, it was spelled correctly. So what it does is it connects with your Xero, and it basically interrogates your Xero and gives it a overall health score out of 100. The closer you to 100, the healthier you are. And it's looking at how many unreconciled transactions are there, how many open journals are there, how many what's your debtors days, etc. So it really just looks at the health of your Xero, and it gives you some tips and areas for where you can improve your financial function, just to give it some more, just to get it up to scratch. I think Jock works every day, works with Xavier. Jock, any points that you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think maybe just to add to that, it's just pulls data from different clients, especially if you have different Xero profiles, and just to see where there's any possible problem areas or inaccuracies that jumps out that would otherwise take a lot of time to find. This program picks it up quite quickly, so that makes it much easier.
Some final remarks from my side. In the end, as business owners, we want to make informed business decisions. We need to be able, in real time, have access to accurate data and make decisions to really move our business forward. And there's so many softwares out there, so it's just vital for you to understand what's the key critical numbers, the key levers that you need to pull to move your business forward. And it's important for you to understand that if you're inventory heavy, then it's going to be worthwhile to invest in a software like Unleashed Inventory, where you can measure your inventory days and the gross profit margins per product, as well as your selling of that. If you're more focused on a volume of transactions or some other key indicators, then it might be important that you look at different dashboards and key performance indicators to grow your business. Short of the long, these cloud technologies out there, remember, these technologies are only useful if it's accurate, the data is accurate, and it only useful if it equips you to make informed decisions to grow your business. So my advice to you is get connected with your cloud technology specialist, rethink the software that you're using during this time, and think outside the box. What brought you here won't necessarily take you there. That's from our side. I want to thank Jan, Jock, Wilhelm for your time and your wisdom and your golden nuggets. I really appreciate having you on the call. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks
very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.